New grid rules show congestion is a commercial constraint. Grid congestion has long been understood as a reliability challenge, but recent regulatory actions and operator data indicate a more immediate shift. Congestion is increasingly shaping commercial outcomes well before it triggers system emergencies. New interconnection rules, swelling queue backlogs, and updated planning assumptions from grid operators suggest congestion is no longer just a technical issue. It is now influencing contract structures, project feasibility, and regional competitiveness across U.S. power markets. Interconnection reforms confirm the scale of the bottleneck reforms from Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, FERC, were designed to address chronic interconnection delays by moving from a first-come, first-served model to a cluster-based approach. While the changes aim to improve efficiency, they also underscore the magnitude of the problem they are trying to fix. Interconnection queues across major markets now represent several times the amount of generation capacity actually needed to meet near-term demand growth. Grid operators have acknowledged that a large share of proposed projects will never reach completion, not due to lack of generation technology, but because transmission upgrades are too costly, too slow, or both. For energy buyers and developers, this reality is forcing earlier commercial adjustments, including more conservative delivery assumptions and higher contingency costs. Final window for 2026 award entries. This is the last opportunity to submit your work for industry recognition. Entries close January 12th. Submit before the deadline. Grid operators are signaling tighter delivery limits. Regional operators are also sharpening their messaging. PJM Interconnection has flagged accelerating load growth from electrification and large industrial customers as a planning stressor, while Mid-Continent Independent System Operator continues to highlight congestion on major north-south transmission paths. In the West, California Independent System Operator has reported that transmission availability, not generation supply, is increasingly determining how much renewable capacity can be reliably integrated during peak periods. These disclosures matter because they influence how utilities assess new load requests, how developers model curtailment risk, and how regulators evaluate cost recovery for grid upgrades. Congestion is surfacing earlier in project economics. One notable shift is when congestion shows up. Instead of emerging after projects are built, transmission constraints are now reshaping feasibility during the planning and contracting stages. Interconnection studies are requiring larger network upgrades up front. Power purchase agreements, PPAs, are incorporating more cautious nodal pricing assumptions. In some regions, congestion risk is effectively shortening the usable life or output of new generation assets on paper, well before steel is in the ground. This early-stage exposure is particularly challenging for organizations relying on long-term price certainty, such as manufacturers, fleet operators, and large campus facilities. Why this matters. Heading into 2026, despite new planning mandates and reform efforts, transmission expansion timelines remain measured in years, while load growth continues to accelerate. The result is a widening gap between generation ambition and delivery reality. For market participants, the key takeaway is not that congestion exists, but that it is now embedded in rules, queues, and planning assumptions that directly shape commercial outcomes. As grid operators formalize these constraints, congestion is becoming easier to model, but harder to avoid. In 2026, understanding how congestion is reflected in interconnection terms and contracts may matter more than tracking headline reliability risks. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites by Environment+Energy Leader. For partnership opportunities, please reach out to our team.